Hey y'all, it's Ben Capozzi at Broad Shoulders Farm in Sutherland, Virginia, Zone 7A. It's Thursday, October 22nd, 2020, and I wanted to do another update on the poultry food forest that we're working on. I'm hanging out here in the car. I just delivered some materials for a project I'm gonna hopefully do this weekend. I got Ellie Belly hanging out there. Pretty much wherever I park the car, he'll just come and hang out in it. He's really an excellent guard dog. But let me flip the camera around and show you what's changed in my thinking and what plants are in the ground, and we'll just talk about what's going on because there's a lot that's changed. All right, so I'm here on the western edge of the acreage that I'm farming up here at my in-laws. They've got 270 acres, and I'm renting just a handful up here. But there's the old house and the old barn, the old chicken coop, and all that. Over that way is the main fenced-in garden area. The Bantam Run and the Marek's group is right there. The rooster run's over there, and the last update I talked about how I combined all three flocks into a group over there. We'll see them in a little bit as we get closer. But I'm up here right now, and I had to take a minute to roll up my sleeves because the mosquitoes are out, which is very annoying. I am apparently among their favorites. No matter where they are, they find me. Or where I am, they find me. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the poultry food forest. Last time I talked to you, which I think was the end of September, I was really kind of dragging my feet in some respects because I didn't really know exactly where I was going to plant certain trees. I knew that I wanted certain trees and shrubs and perennial plants, but I wasn't quite sure yet about the order. I was trying to figure out if I should have a little bit of everything in each paddock so that there was something ripening at all times in every paddock. And I was thinking about that, which was honestly kind of daunting. And then I had a bit of a breakthrough, and I wound up divvying up the garden, the orchard up here into some quadrants. And I'll talk about that in just a sec, but as long as I'm up here in this corner, let me just talk a little bit more about what's going on here, and then I'll switch to that. But so this area right here, you can see I've got the T-posts in. I'm picking up the fencing this weekend to go ahead and fence all this in, this row of really old grapevines that belong to my wife's, or that were maintained by my wife's grandfather, and that's all just been taken over now by honeysuckle, and looks like there's some sumac in there maybe, or maybe those are walnut seedlings, I'm not quite sure, but it's mostly just junk trees. There's not really a plant in there. A few years ago I saw a couple grapes in there, but they're not getting much light or anything, so I really want to clear all this out. And my plan is to burn it. I think that's going to be the most efficient rather than bulldozing it, which, trust me, sometimes I wish that I could just ask my father-in-law to come up here and bulldoze it with his tractor or his excavator, but I think the best thing to do is going to be to burn it. I'm going to clear out some of these trees here, thin them out a bit. I'm going to take some of the lower branches off of this black walnut here. I worked on saving it this year, or last year, by cutting out a lot of the ivy vines that were choking it out. I need to come back and cut it again, but I'm going to keep this because walnut's a very valuable tree for just amazing source of fat and protein. Very long-lived, centuries. But what's going to go in here is winter quarters for the main laying flocks. Once I get all this cleared out, they'll be set up in here for the winter. I'm thinking about building them a little house instead of keeping them in their coops. We'll see how the budget and time goes, but then allow them to just work over all this after it's been burned. Crap it up all winter long, maybe make some additional compost in here, but this is going to be the squash and melon patch next year. It'll be behind fencing, and it'll be some really rich, fertile soil, so I'm excited about that. So let's talk about right here. This is the designated spot for the Marek's flock, for their permanent or semi-permanent move. They will generally be, they're going to be contagious their entire life, but after about 2 years, it would be very rare, after 18 to 24 months, for them to succumb to the symptoms of Marek's disease, which is a pretty brutal and unforgiving disease. And so I need a place to accommodate them for about 2 years. And my thinking right now, and the way we're proceeding, is going to be this area right here. I've got in mind a 82-foot by 82-foot paddock, which I think gives them about 6,400, 6,500 square feet plus to work in. I'm going to do some interesting plantings for them. I've got my boards lined up over there. You can see where I'm going to build them a little chicken house. I've been wanting to make for them another Justin Rhodes style chickshaw, and I was thinking about it and dragging my feet and thinking about it and dragging my feet. And then it occurred to me, I was like, they don't need a chickshaw. They're only going to stay in one place. It's not like I can just move them all around the orchard with the other birds. So I decided I think the best move is to make something actually pretty similar to what I made for the Bantam house. A fixed place that they go in at night, and then I open the door in the morning and they run out inside a fenced-in run. So that's exactly what's going on over here. So this is a sectioned off area, and I've already got in here, I've got some hazelnuts, some white Nanking bush cherries. I'm a big fan of bush cherries. There's a service berry in here. There's some red Nanking bush cherries. Here is a row of pawpaws that I've got coming in. I think there's a Shenandoah, a prolific, and an overlease. And I've actually got the box there. I've got another prolific, another overlease. I've got a Pennsylvania Gold at the house that is quite small that I think I can transplant, even though pawpaws are notoriously bad transplanters. And I've got a Wabash coming. Even though the pawpaws ripen at different times, around the same time of the year, and there wouldn't be any in the rest of the orchard, I'm kind of gravitating towards putting the pawpaws over here because pawpaws are one of the few trees that do fine in the shade. They fruit in the shade. They would love some dappled shade, and I think I'll be able to achieve that here. But they are one of the few trees that don't just survive or tolerate, but thrive with black walnut in the area. The black walnut tree, if you don't know, secretes a toxin. It's in the roots, it's in the leaves, it's in the bark, it's in the hulls of the nuts, it's in the whole plant. A toxin that really inhibits the growth of lots of other plants. It's especially bad for things of the rosacea family, pears and apples. There are just long lists of plants that don't do well with it, but there are a few that do well with it, and the pawpaw is one that, again, doesn't just put up with it, but actually seems to feed off of that juglone. That's the name of the toxin, that allelopathic toxin in the soil. It really does really well with it. Mulberries are another one. You can see there one of my Stubbs mulberries that I got from the Apple Queen, Eliza Greenman. She's an incredible fruit explorer and pioneer that I encourage you to seek out and follow her account on different social media stuff. But anyhow, I think I've got another hazelnut in here, and I've got room here to put a few more. I haven't yet decided if I'm going to keep going with the line of pawpaws or if I'm going to duck them down between these black walnuts and the mulberry. Just going to have to play that by ear and see what happens as I go along. But the Marek's flock block runs all the way over to, this is a little black mulberry tree that I planted thinking I had a plan. I planted that this summer. My plan is now changed, and I'm glad that it's small enough that once it goes dormant, I can move it no problem. Volunteer tomato. Probably threw some out here for the geese. But the paddock for the Marek's flock, like I said, it's 82 by 82. It runs all the way down to here, to the edge of this black walnut and that willow oak volunteer that's there. It goes all the way down there and then back over. So that leaves all of this area here, behind the rooster run, and even back over to the tenant house, which you can't see on the other side. So my revelation, and I'm hoping it's a good plan, I'm kind of excited about it, is that if I divided this area up into 4 roughly 6,000 square foot paddocks, I could do a really nice rotation with the flocks, and they could stay in each paddock for a month. And so that's if they spend January and February, the 2 coldest months, here in their winter quarters. Once this is all burned down and leveled, they'd have plenty of shelter. They'd be on the northwest corner of the area. There'd be the tree line, which provides a lot of shelter from the wind. And I think it's a really good spot for them to stay. But then starting in March, they can come out. Even though we get late frost and such, a frost isn't going to hurt them. They're ready to come out. So I've got one paddock here that will be March. Another paddock that starts on the corner there where those autumn olives and apple trees are and goes back to the tree line that way. March, April. On the other side of the rooster run, there's a long, skinny paddock that would be May. And then up front where the tenant house is would be June. Then, 4 months later, they come back to the March paddock. And they're here for, June. They're here for July. Then August, then September, then October. Come back here for November and December. And then they go back into winter quarters. And with that rotation, that allows me to get them in each of these paddocks for a month, if not maybe even a little longer. And when they're gone for 4 months or 3 months before they're back in there again. That's 90 to 120 days before they're back on the same piece of orchard, same patch of grass. And that gets me really excited because for annual crops, I mean, 3 to 4 months is enough time to grow almost anything. I can definitely get in corn, I can get new potatoes, I can get a lot. So I think it would allow me some multiple uses of the area, as well as it helps me kind of frame my thinking on what goes where in the planting. So I've got a little spreadsheet that I've been working on for several weeks, and then I pulled the trigger on starting to go ahead and purchase plants and get things in the ground. But basically, for instance, this first paddock here has things that are harvestable in March, July, and November. So there will be things like, I'm going to leave that black walnut volunteers. I'm going to let that go. The squirrels planted it. I'm sure they knew what they were doing. But so that means that this paddock, and it actually comes all the way out to here. You can see I've got a line here in my own head so I know what's what, but comes all the way out to here. So March crops are going to include, if I can get in some things. March is a little sparse, but there are a few things I can get in. Some persimmon trees will hold fruit over that long. Some cardoons and artichokes are actually harvestable here. The temperatures should be mild enough that I can plant those here in the fall. I actually should have planted them already this year, but they'll be ready by March or April of next year. There's March, there's then July. There's also things for in here. So the black mulberry, the other Stubbs mulberry tree, more of the Nanking bush cherries, hazelnuts, blackberries, and then this is also the paddock for November. So I've got things like my hachia variety of Asian persimmons. That's a soft when ripe variety and a stringent variety. I've got a row of them. And I'll do separate videos to kind of profile these plants because I think they're all kind of interesting. But I just wanted to talk a little bit today about kind of the overall idea. So you may remember from the last video when I consolidated all three of my main groups of poultry, instead of them all being in their own individual little houses, inside their own little individual electronet fencing run with 3 energizers and 3 lengths of fencing and 3 sets of feed and water. And moving them every week or so all around the orchard, which was really stressful for one guy, I'm not gonna lie, especially a 45-year-old guy who's not in the best shape. The idea that I came across was to combine them all, put all 3 of their electronet fences together on one charger, combine all 3 of the groups. They blended together seamlessly. They don't squabble. There were no huge fights. I put them in here August 18th, and it is now October 20th, and there is still plenty of greenery. They ate apples for, I would say, 7 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. They ate apples, not exclusively. They still got their chick starter feed and their grain supplement every day. But they stayed there and they've been doing great. Now the trees are starting to lose all their leaves. The autumn olive is going to start thinning up here a little bit more, but they have been here for, what is that, August to September, September to October. So more than 2 months, and they've been very, very happy. So I'm talking about keeping them in an area half this size for half the amount of time, and then they move on to the next area. So let me just talk real briefly about, again, the vision, the idea. Sorry about the mess. The November paddock would go all the way over to, hey Dorcas, hi. I love this little bird. Would go all the way over to this corner right here where this autumn olive is. So then from here, all the way down to here is the December paddock. Hey lads. The roosters in the bachelor run. So this would all be, April, August, and December. All happens in here. And we've already got the established apple trees. I've got more apple trees to plant. I've got about, putting in over 100 plants in this area, in the whole orchard this fall. I've already planted quite a few. So all of this area is available. This would all be December, and I can go back pretty darn close to the wood line, the tree line. And then this paddock right here is for September and May. Yeah, September and May. So it's a little narrower, but it goes on quite a bit farther. But it's roughly the same square footage. It would still be 2 lengths of the electronet fencing. I've already got in, this is where I have my American persimmons. I've got 2 Proc American persimmons interplanted with black locust trees for fertility and for bee forage, and also hazelnuts. So this is a pretty diverse line right here going up. I've got a series of apple and pear trees that are going to come in here in the middle. I've got elderberry that once they go dormant, I'm going to be propagating all over in the harvest appropriate areas or times, basically, Like I'm not going to put the elderberries in the November paddock because that's not a good time to ripen for them. So we do all this. Oh, I already put this in, and I think this was in the last video. I've got a really nice row of, wow, look at all the mustard and dock that is germinated up here. I sowed all this. This is wonderful. Turnips. I love when you see the little carpet of daikon radish. But anyhow, I have a row here. Looks like I need to come back and mulch again, but there's a row of alternating powder blue blueberries and trentberries and elderberries. They go all the way down to here. So there's a blueberry, which means my trentberry is... Gosh, if the geese find out all this is over here, they're gonna love it. So yeah, there's one of the trentberries. Trentberry is a hybrid between a huckleberry and a blueberry. And then the last paddock is this one. And this one is the June and October paddock, which is actually a time when lots of different things can be harvested, or lots of different things are ripe. So there's service berries that are going in here, and early persimmons are going in here, and of course you can also do mid-season persimmons in here. Lots and lots of apple trees. October is a big time for apple trees. Of course, my fantastic pear tree, a tree-lined pear tree that had pears on it last year, all the way into December. And who knows, gosh, I need to come out here and harvest these because this is a ton of food for the birds. But yeah, so this paddock goes all the way around to here, and I can kind of make it as big as I want. But I've got lots of apple trees that are going in over here, more bush cherries that are going in over here. And again, I'll do a separate video about these, but bush cherries are pretty amazing. If you can get in on those, I encourage you to. There's red bud over here, which is not really a thing you can harvest. I'm going to leave this. I think this is a pecan tree. Well, it's not my decision to take it down. This is my father-in-law's. But basically fencing in everything here around the old tenant house, which someday I hope to renovate and use maybe. Even go down the hill a little bit, maybe on the other side of that oak all the way down to the beech tree. But coming all the way up here, and this would be a really big paddock. And I've got some service berries, some bush cherry. I'm getting ready to put in some Primark blackberries. I've already put down some hazelnuts and more hachia variety Asian persimmons. Hachias can be ready in October and November, so I don't have a problem. Looks like I need to water these again. It rained a lot last week, so I haven't watered anybody. I mulched them in, but I think if I water them once a week this time of year, they should be happy. But again, an alternating row of hazelnut, persimmon, yada, yada, yada. And there's a lot going on up here, but I'm almost at 20 minutes, if not over, so I'm gonna shut up and just present this as an update on the new plan for the chicken paddock. And I'm really excited about it. So if you have questions, concerns, comments, helpful critique, anything like that is wonderful. And if you follow my feed, you may know about Una here and her kids. Hi, Una. Okay, good. All 5 are there. I'm really worried about a snake getting them. They're gonna move here in the next few days. Una, don't let me bother you. I'm sorry. But anyhow, so that's where we are. And the rooster run, these guys are gonna stay here. I do have some additional trees I'm gonna put in here, but I'll talk more about specific plants in a future video. I just want to take a little bit of time today to give you a quick update. And then, yeah, so there's that. All right, wherever you are, I hope that you are staying safe and healthy, and please keep it up. And you can follow me at Broad Shoulders Farm on Instagram and Facebook. And the lads all say, hey, hi guys. There's Ham and Spritz and Rhode Island Red, Black Copper Marin. There's Ranger. There's Martin. There's Lloyd. It looks like Rye. There's Amici. There's, oh gosh, Hootman in the back there. Here comes Angelo. Hello, guys. All right, my phone's going to die. So that's my cue. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.